Ben Waller was a loner by nature, a quiet man with a love for forgotten things. He spent most of his weekends scouring junk shops and estate sales, searching for rare books, broken clocks, and dusty electronics. That's how he found the radio, a bulky wooden relic with cracked dials and a speaker shrouded in fabric that smelled like mildew. The vendor gave it away for $5. "It still hums," the old man had muttered, "but don't listen too long." Ben laughed it off, plugged the radio in when he got home, and to his surprise it worked. Static, mostly. Then garbled speech, like fragments of an old news broadcast. He fiddled with the dial, hoping to catch a music station, but all he found were faint voices buried beneath white noise. That night, while falling asleep on the couch, Ben heard a voice from the radio say, "I'm cold. I don't know where I am." He sat up. The station was gone. Only static remained. He brushed it off as a dream. Over the next few days, the voices grew clearer. Male, female, young, old, all speaking in fragmented sentences. "Tell my mother I'm okay. The river was black. Don't trust the man in the hat." Ben started recording the broadcasts on his phone. He cross-referenced the names and phrases. To his horror, they matched real missing persons cases, some going back decades. He contacted the police, but they brushed him off. Coincidences, they said? Then the radio spoke again, in a voice that chilled him to the bone. "Ben Waller, do you remember the lake?" He did, vaguely. A camping trip from his childhood. His cousin Tommy had gone missing during that trip, vanished without a trace. No one ever found him. Now Ben heard Tommy's voice, young, frightened, saying, "They dragged me under. It has eyes, Benny, big eyes." Ben began to unravel. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The radio was always on, whispering, calling. He tried to destroy it, smashed it with a hammer, but the next morning it was whole again, sitting back on his table. Then one night, the radio played something new, the sound of footsteps. Heavy, wet, squelching steps. The voice that followed was his own. "I'm in the woods. Don't let them find me. Please, don't let them." Static. The door to his apartment creaked open. Muddy footprints appeared on the floor, trailing out into the hallway. Ben followed them, dazed, barefoot in the dark. Down the stairs, into the street, toward the trees. Neighbors said they saw him walking toward the forest behind his building, talking to himself. He never returned. Days later, his apartment was entered by police, empty, no sign of struggle. But the radio was still on, now playing a new voice, a little boy's voice. Travis and Jessica had been driving for 12 straight hours through the back roads of New Mexico, hoping to make it to a friend's wedding by morning. As night fell, a sudden desert storm rolled in, wind howling, rain slicing across the windshield like knives. They squinted through the wipers until the road vanished beneath the downpour. Then they saw it, a flickering neon sign glowing red through the rain. Desert Willow Inn, vacancy. The place looked abandoned. The parking lot was cracked and overgrown. One light flickered above the office door, but they were desperate and exhausted. Inside, the lobby was small and smelled like old smoke and pine-scented cleaner. A gaunt man sat behind the counter, wearing a wrinkled shirt and a tired smile. He didn't ask for ID, just handed them a rusty key with a plastic tag, room 9. As Travis took the key, the man leaned in slightly and whispered, "Don't open the closet. Not for anything." Jessica laughed nervously. "What closet?" But the man just stared at them as they backed away. The room was musty and cold. A single light buzzed overhead. The bed sagged in the middle. A dark stain bloomed on the carpet beneath the window. The walls were yellowed from age or smoke. Jessica turned the TV on, nothing but static. No channels, no signal. Then they noticed the mirror above the dresser. Not a normal mirror. This one was larger, bolted to the wall and slightly tinted. "Why does this look like a one-way glass?" Travis muttered. He pressed his face close. On the other side, it looked darker. He checked behind the mirror and found a camera, hidden in the vent above it. Fright! Jessica screamed when she found another tiny lens in the smoke detector. They tore the room apart. Cameras in the bedside lamp, in the TV, even inside the alarm clock. Disgusted, they packed their things and stormed to the front desk. But the office was dark, empty. The clerk was gone, not a single car in the lot except theirs. And the rain pounded harder than ever. Back in the room, Jessica sat on the edge of the bed, shaken. Travis opened the closet. Inside, he found a narrow space. At first, it looked like an ordinary coat closet, until he saw the mattress shoved in the back, covered in stains, dented in the middle, and above it, cameras, microphones, wires leading into the wall. It was a hidden room. Someone had been living inside the walls, watching, listening. Travis backed away, horrified. The door slammed shut. From the closet came a voice. Ragged. Guttural. You weren't supposed to open it. Jessica screamed as the lights flickered violently. Shadows darted across the walls, far too fast to be human. Something was in the walls, crawling, watching, whispering. They tried to flee, but the door wouldn't open. The handle twisted but held fast. Something heavy thumped from the ceiling above. The TV flicked on by itself, playing a video. It was them, in the room, sitting on the bed, recorded from inside the closet. The video paused. The screen went dark. A new image appeared. A face, pale, smiling from behind the mirror. The last thing Jessica remembered was the closet door creaking open and a hand reaching out. The next morning, the motel stood silent in the sunrise. Travelers who stopped said room 9 was padlocked from the outside. No staff, no cars, just an eerie, still silence. Police arrived hours later. Inside room 9, empty bed, untouched bathroom, closet sealed shut. The mirror was shattered, but written in dust on the glass was a message: you were never alone. There was a TikTok trend that no one dared take seriously. It was called the Grave Marker Challenge. The rules were simple, but eerie. Find a cemetery you've never visited. At midnight, pick a random grave. Knock on the headstone 3 times, whisper your name, then walk backward around the perimeter of the cemetery without breaking the circle. Don't look behind you. Ever. Lily, Jace, Danny, and Marcus were thrill seekers, growing their horror-themed TikTok channel called Night Dwellers. They had done everything from abandoned hospitals to Ouija board sessions. So when one of their followers dared them to try the Grave Marker Challenge, they eagerly accepted. They picked Hollow Hill Cemetery, an overgrown lot 40 minutes from town, surrounded by forest and long forgotten. No one had been buried there in nearly 80 years. The perfect spot. They arrived just before midnight, flashlights flickering as they stepped between cracked headstones and twisted statues. A cold fog crept low along the grass. Even though it was a summer night, Lily was the first to go. She found a tall, moss-covered stone near the edge of the property. The name had faded beyond recognition. She knocked 3 times, whispered her full name, and began walking backward along the fence line. Her friends watched and filmed from a distance, whispering jokes to break the tension. Halfway through her circuit, Lily froze. From her point of view, the trees surrounding the cemetery looked wrong, too still. The shadows between them seemed to pulse, and though she didn't turn her head, she swore she could hear footsteps mirroring hers, just behind her. Slow, wet. She completed the circle and rushed back to her friends. "You okay?" Danny asked. "You look pale." "I heard something," Lily whispered, "like it was walking behind me, breathing." They laughed it off. Jace went next, then Danny, then Marcus. They all finished the challenge without anything strange till they got back in the car and began to drive. The video playback on Danny's phone started glitching. They stopped the car and huddled around it. The footage showed Lily walking backward, just like before, but behind her, barely visible between headstones, was something moving. A crouched figure, crawling low to the ground. It had elongated limbs and a head that twitched violently with each movement. "Is that a person?" Jace asked. Then the audio played, whispers, soft and wet. It repeated Lily's name, over and over. Back home that night, Lily couldn't sleep. The air in her room felt heavy. At 3 a.m., she heard footsteps in the hall. Thinking it was her sister, she opened the door, but the hallway was empty. Then she looked down. Dirt, fresh, black soil, scattered outside her door. She barely slept that night. The next morning, Lily was gone. Her bed undisturbed, window open, and on the floor, carved into the wood beneath her bed, she finished the circle. The others didn't believe it at first. Thought she had run off or staged it for more followers. But 2 nights later, Jace started hearing his name whispered from inside his closet. Danny was next. She received a video from Lily's number, a loop of her own footage walking backward in the cemetery, but this time, it didn't end. She kept circling and circling. In the background, the headstones bled into one another, and her own name appeared on a fresh grave marker. Only Marcus remained. He tried deleting the video, smashing the phones, even burning the SD cards. But it didn't stop. One night he woke up to find his window open and cold wind pouring in. He turned on his light, and there, on the foot of his bed, was his own phone, playing the video again. Only this time, he was the one in the background, watching Lily. He screamed and ran. They found Marcus a week later, wandering barefoot through Hollow Hill Cemetery. Clothes torn, nails black with dirt, eyes wide with madness. He kept muttering over and over, "I looked behind me." Angela Reeves had always known how to work a camera. Her online presence exploded over the past year, her beauty tutorials racking up millions of views. Her signature mirror shot content made her fans feel connected, like they were sitting in the room with her, watching her every brushstroke. But fame came with strange fans and strange comments. It started subtly. "You look different in the mirror," one viewer posted. Another said, "Why does your reflection smile when you don't?" She brushed it off as trolling, edited her videos tighter, focused on growing, but the comments persisted, always about the mirror. Then, during a late-night live stream, something went wrong. Angela was mid-makeup routine, chatting casually, when her chat began exploding. "Angela, who's that? Behind you. Look. Your mirror is moving." She turned. No one there, just her reflection. But the livestream chat was in full panic. She replayed the footage later. For a few seconds, no more than 4, her reflection stood still while she moved. Then it tilted its head slowly and grinned. Angela tried to laugh it off, but that night, sleep wouldn't come. Her mirror was across from her bed, and every time she glanced at it, she felt like she was being watched. Once, she thought she saw something crawling on the inside of the glass, but when she turned the light on, it vanished. Over the following days, things got stranger. She'd catch her reflection staring when she walked past, even when she didn't stop. Her videos recorded glitching frames, smears of static, ghostly silhouettes in the corners. Her fans noticed. "Your mirror's haunted," someone joked. Then came the whispering. She was brushing her teeth when she heard it, faint at first, like breath against her ear. "I'm waiting." She spun around. The mirror was fogged, but words slowly appeared as if written by a finger. "Let me in." Angela screamed and smashed the glass. Shards scattered across the floor. But the next morning, the mirror was whole again. No cracks, no sign of damage. Her phone buzzed. It was a screen recording sent from an anonymous account. It showed her sleeping, but the reflection in the mirror was wide awake, standing over her bed. Angela stopped live streaming, shut off her social media, covered every mirror in her apartment. Her manager begged her to go live again, but she refused. Then came the email. No subject, no body, just an attachment, a short video clip. She clicked it. It was her, filming, streaming, but she looked wrong. Hair matted, eyes black, face expressionless. And the camera was slowly panning to the mirror, where another Angela was already there, smiling. Angela ran to the bathroom and tore down the towel covering the mirror. Her reflection was gone. Only black static remained, flickering softly. She turned to run, but there she was, her reflection, standing in the hallway, smiling. Angela never made another video again. Weeks later, fans noticed her old live streams had been replaced with strange re-uploads. Her videos looped endlessly, but something was off. Her eyes never blinked. Her reflection never moved. One day, her mirror was sold in an estate auction. It arrived at the buyer's house fully intact. The very next morning, the mirror whispered, "I need another face." The Carters, Megan, David, and their 8-year-old daughter Ellie were excited about their new home in a sleepy Vermont town. The house was an old colonial with creaky floors and faded wallpaper, but it had charm and plenty of space for Ellie to explore. On the day they moved in, the real estate agent gave them a warning. The basement has been sealed for over 30 years. The door's locked tight, and it's best if you don't try to open it. Curious but respectful, Megan promised to leave it alone. The door was a heavy slab of wood with rusted hinges, bolted shut from the inside. There were no windows and no obvious way in. But from their very first night, strange things began. Scratching sounds like nails on wood echoed from beneath the floorboards. Faint whispers came through the vents. Ellie told her parents about a new friend named Mr. Cold, who lived under the house and liked to play hide and seek. David laughed it off. Megan felt uneasy, but blamed it on the stress of moving. Then the noises grew louder. At night, the family woke to thuds and scraping, like something pacing beneath the floor. Ellie's drawings changed, from sunny houses to dark tunnels filled with clawed hands reaching out. One evening, Ellie was found sitting in front of the locked basement door, humming softly. When Megan asked what she was doing, Ellie whispered, "Mr. Cold said to wait." Desperate to understand, David hired a contractor to break the seal. When the basement door finally creaked open, a chill like winter wind spilled into the house. The basement was black as pitch. The air smelled of damp earth and something worse, rotting. Their flashlights barely pierced the darkness. The walls were scraped raw, and long, jagged claw marks covered every surface. In the center of the room was a deep well carved from stone. It seemed to lead down even further, into the unknown. David shone his light into the well. At the bottom, faint red eyes blinked back. Suddenly, Ellie slipped past them and sprinted toward the well. "Ellie, no!" Megan screamed. But it was too late. Ellie disappeared down the well, her laughter echoing behind her. From the depths came a cold breath, so cold it froze Megan's bones. The Carters searched for days but found no trace of Ellie. The basement door slammed shut and locked itself once more. Neighbors whispered stories of children lost in the house before, swallowed by darkness, claimed by something ancient beneath the earth. Megan and David moved away, but every night they heard Ellie's voice on the phone, soft, distant, calling for help. And somewhere, deep beneath the locked door, Mr. Cold waits. Daniel Cooper had never received a letter like this before. An official-looking envelope from a law firm in a city he hadn't visited in years. Inside, a letter notified him that he was named the next of kin to a man named Micah Graves, recently deceased. The problem? Daniel didn't remember anyone named Micah Graves. Confused but curious, he decided to attend the funeral. The ceremony was held in a small chapel, dimly lit and filled with mourners he didn't know. The coffin was open. And as Daniel approached, something inside him stirred. He recognized the face faintly. The pale skin, the sharp jawline. It was a face from his childhood, a friend he had once forgotten. That night, memories flooded back in fragments. Micah was his best friend when they were kids, until one summer day when Micah disappeared without a trace during a game in the woods behind their neighborhood. Daniel's parents told him it was better to forget. They sent him for therapy, even hypnotic sessions. But the memory was buried deep. Now, it clawed its way out. Daniel started seeing Micah everywhere, in crowds, reflected in shop windows, standing silently at the edge of his vision. At first, he thought he was losing his mind. One evening, Daniel looked in the mirror and saw Micah standing right behind him, smiling. Whispers filled the room. "You forgot me, but I never left." Daniel's dreams became nightmares. He relived that summer day over and over. The dare, the running, the fall, and the dark figure waiting in the woods. Micah wasn't just a friend who vanished. He was taken. And the price for forgetting was far worse than Daniel imagined. On the anniversary of Micah's disappearance, Daniel vanished from his apartment. The only clue left behind was a single child's shoe on the floor, a size 12. Neighbors reported hearing a child's laughter echoing through the streets at night. And somewhere, deep in the woods, two shadows play forever. Devin Carter ran one of the most popular horror YouTube channels online, Curse Revealed. His specialty was exploring and reviewing cursed media, haunted VHS tapes, strange audio recordings, and even urban legends caught on film. One day, Devin received a mysterious package with no return address. Inside was a worn VHS tape labeled in shaky handwriting. For Devin, final episode. Curious, Devin popped the tape into his old VCR and hit play. The footage was disturbing. It showed a grainy, night vision shot of a small bedroom, and in the bed was Devin, sleeping. The camera slowly zoomed in on his face. His eyes flickered open. But the expression wasn't his. It was blank, lifeless. A whisper echoed through the tape's audio. "You can't hide." The screen went black. Devin's heart pounded. Who could have filmed this? Cow. Driven by a mix of fear and fascination, he scoured the internet, digging into urban legends about a watcher, an entity rumored to haunt cameras, recording its victims while they slept, watching them until it could enter their lives. The tape also contained coordinates, leading Devin to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside the decaying building, rows of old VHS tapes lined dusty shelves. Hundreds of them. Each tape had a label with a different name. Devin found one with his own name on it. He played it. The video showed him sleeping again. Then a shadow crossed the room. A scream. And the tape ended abruptly. Devin decided to live stream his investigation. Viewers watched as he explored the warehouse, shining his flashlight into dark corners. Suddenly, the feed flickered. Devin whispered, "Who's there?" A heavy breathing answered him. The screen went black. Police found Devin's apartment days later. The only thing left behind was the cursed VHS tape, now recording him again. Emily and her three friends, Nate, Sophie, and Ryan, were always on the lookout for new tech trends. When they heard about an app called Forest Path, which claimed to reveal hidden spiritual hotspots and ancient sites, they were intrigued. The app promised a unique, supernatural experience and encouraged users to visit remote locations marked on a map. One weekend, they decided to test it on a camping trip deep in the woods of Oregon. As they hiked, the app guided them along winding trails until they reached a hill marked with strange symbols. The trees around the clearing were adorned with skulls, animal skulls mostly, tied with frayed ropes. Some had faded paint markings, others had small trinkets nailed to them. At first they joked about the place, taking selfies and videos for their social media channels. But soon, the app began to glitch. Their screens flickered and warped. Instead of the trail, they saw footage of themselves, sleeping in their tents filmed from above. That night, a distant drumbeat echoed in the woods. It grew louder and more rhythmic. Emily woke to find Sophie missing. Panic set in as they called out, but only silence answered. In the clearing, they found a circle of dolls arranged around a fire pit. Each doll was eerily detailed, faces painted to resemble Sophie, Nate, Ryan, and Emily. The app buzzed with a message, "Welcome to the path." One by one, the missing friends returned, but their eyes were empty, lifeless. Their smiles were wrong, too wide, too cold. Emily realized they had become part of something ancient, bound to the forest by a ritual that the app had unknowingly unlocked. She tried to run, but the forest shifted around her, paths twisting impossibly. The app's map was useless now. It only showed one message blinking in red: "You cannot leave." Paul Reynolds was an experienced plumber called to a quiet suburban home to fix a mysterious leak. The elderly woman who answered the door was frail, but insisted the pipes had been crying at night, making strange, almost human noises. Paul was skeptical, but professional. As he descended into the crawl space beneath the kitchen, the smell hit him first: damp earth, decay, and something metallic. He turned on his flashlight and crawled into the dark. The crawl space stretched further than he expected. The walls were lined with ancient carvings, symbols he didn't recognize. The ground was uneven, like a natural tunnel, but with signs of human digging. Deeper and deeper he went, until the narrow tunnel opened into a labyrinth. Walls made of rough stone, slick with moisture. The air grew colder. He heard voices, whispers calling his name from every direction. The voices seemed to come from the very walls themselves. Paul followed the sounds until he reached a chamber filled with forgotten objects. Old phones, wallets, a child's doll stained with dried blood. A sign was carved into the wall: "Below is forever." Suddenly, the tunnel behind him sealed shut with a heavy grinding noise. Paul was trapped. He called for help on his cell phone, but there was no signal. The voices grew louder, chanting in a language he couldn't understand. He saw shadows flicker at the edge of his light, creeping closer. His flashlight flickered out. In the pitch dark, Paul screamed. His last thought was that he was no longer under a house, but somewhere else entirely. A place beneath reality where the voices never stopped, and the walls whispered his fate. Nina wasn't usually one to click on clickbait videos, but when a friend sent her a link titled, "Don't watch this," curiosity got the better of her. She opened the video. The screen was black except for faint static and the dim reflection of her own bedroom. Suddenly, a chilling realization hit her. The video was live footage of her room. And there, in the corner, a shadowy figure stood watching her. She paused the video, heart pounding. The figure remained, still and silent. Every time she played or paused, the shadow shifted closer. Nina checked every corner of her apartment. Nothing. But at night, she felt its presence, breathing, watching. She started hearing whispers, soft, barely audible, but unmistakable. Her phone showed messages from an unknown number. "You can't hide." Her sleep became plagued with nightmares of faceless watchers and endless hallways. One night, her computer screen flickered. The video played again, only this time it showed her sleeping. She tried to shut it off, but the screen warped and glitched. Then, the shadow stepped out of the screen, emerging into her room. The last thing Nina saw was the reflection in her phone. Her own face, but frozen, pale, and smiling. Days later, her phone began receiving new videos, each showing a different viewer, watching, trapped, helpless. The final frame of the last video zoomed in on the viewer's own face. The whispered warning played. If you want to watch more horror movies like this, please like and comment on the video. You must subscribe to our channel. and keep the bell icon all press. Thank you.